What if I told you that sitting in your grocery store right now, probably on a shelf you walk past every single week, there are vegetables so powerful that scientists have watched them in actual laboratory studies walk into cancer cells and shut them down? Not slow them down, not irritate them, destroy them. What if I told you that the same vegetables that your grandmother told you to eat more of, the same ones you might be pushing to the side of your plate, have compounds in them that pharmaceutical companies have spent billions of dollars trying to replicate in a pill? And here's the part that really gets me. Most people have no idea. Most people are going through chemotherapy, radiation, expensive treatments, living in fear of a diagnosis, when nature placed some of the most potent anti-cancer medicine on this earth in the produce section of their local supermarket. I'm Dr. Raymond Senior Wellness, and I want to be very clear with you right from the start. I am not here to tell you to throw away your prescriptions. I am not here to tell you that vegetables alone will cure cancer. What I am here to do, what I feel a deep obligation to do, is to share with you what the science actually says. Peer-reviewed, published, replicated science. Because you deserve to know what is growing in the ground that has the power to protect your body, heal your cells, and in many documented cases, help fight one of the most terrifying diseases on the planet. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to look at the vegetable aisle completely differently. And I genuinely believe that what I'm about to share with you could change your life. Let's start by understanding something fundamental about how cancer actually works. Because once you understand this, everything I tell you about these vegetables will make perfect sense. Your body is made up of trillions of cells, and every single one of those cells has a built-in instruction set, like a computer program, that tells it when to grow, when to divide, and critically, when to die. That last part, when to die, is called apoptosis. It's a beautiful, natural self-destruct mechanism that keeps things in balance. Healthy cells age, do their job, and then trigger this self-destruct sequence so that new, healthy cells can take their place. Cancer cells are cells that have lost that instruction. They've had their die switch turned off. They grow uncontrollably. They refuse to die. They invade healthy tissue, and eventually they overwhelm the body's systems. So when scientists look at anti-cancer compounds, one of the first things they ask is, can this substance turn that death switch back on? Can it restore apoptosis in cancer cells? Can it stop the runaway growth? And what researchers have found in these four vegetables, repeatedly in study after study, is that yes, in many cases, they can. Now let's get into them. The first vegetable I want to talk about is one that has been used medicinally for over 4,000 years, and modern science is finally catching up to what ancient cultures already knew. I'm talking about garlic. Now I know, some of you might be thinking, Dr. Raymond, garlic? Really? And I completely understand that reaction, because garlic feels so ordinary, so everyday, so humble. But let me tell you what is happening inside that little clove, because it is anything but ordinary. When you crush or chop a garlic clove, you trigger a chemical reaction. The garlic's cell walls break open, and two compounds that were previously separated, alliin and an enzyme called alliinase, come into contact with each other. That reaction produces a compound called allicin. Allicin is one of the most studied organosulfur compounds in all of nutritional science, and the research on its anti-cancer properties is genuinely remarkable. Multiple studies published in the Journal of Nutrition and in Cancer Prevention Research have shown that allicin and its related sulfur compounds can induce apoptosis, that self-destruct mechanism I just described, in cancer cells. We're talking about studies showing activity against stomach cancer cells, colon cancer cells, prostate cancer cells, and breast cancer cells. The National Cancer Institute has even acknowledged garlic as one of the most promising cancer preventive foods ever studied. And here is the key point about garlic that most people miss entirely. You have to crush it or chop it and then let it sit. Give it about 10 minutes before you cook it or eat it. That resting period allows the allicin to fully form. If you throw a whole garlic clove directly into hot oil, you denature the enzyme before it can do its job, and you lose a significant portion of that cancer-fighting activity. 10 minutes, that's all it takes. Crush it, leave it on the cutting board, do something else for 10 minutes, and then cook it. That one small change dramatically increases the potency of every meal you cook with garlic. But garlic doesn't stop at apoptosis. Research has shown it also reduces inflammation. And this is huge because chronic inflammation is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of cancer development. It inhibits the formation of carcinogenic compounds in the stomach. It enhances immune function by stimulating natural killer cells, the cells in your immune system that are literally designed to hunt down and destroy abnormal cells, including cancer cells. One large-scale observational study involving thousands of participants found that people who consumed garlic regularly, roughly 2 to 3 cloves several times per week, had significantly lower rates of stomach and colorectal cancer compared to people who rarely ate it. This is not coincidence. This is biology doing exactly what it was designed to do. The second vegetable on our list is one that has generated more excitement in the oncology research community in the past 2 decades than almost any other food on the planet. I'm talking about broccoli, and more specifically, the family of vegetables it belongs to, the cruciferous family, which includes cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage. But broccoli is the most studied, and the compound inside it that researchers keep coming back to is called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is extraordinary. I want you to understand just how seriously the scientific community takes this compound. There are currently active clinical trials, human clinical trials, not just lab studies, investigating sulforaphane's role in prostate cancer, breast cancer, bladder cancer, and even certain brain cancers. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University, one of the most respected medical institutions in the world, have been studying sulforaphane for decades, and what they have found is that it works on cancer through multiple mechanisms simultaneously. First, like allicin in garlic, it promotes apoptosis in cancer cells. Second, it blocks a process called angiogenesis, which is the process by which tumors grow new blood vessels to feed themselves. Cut off the blood supply, and you starve the tumor. Third, and this is the part that genuinely amazed me when I first read the research, sulforaphane activates a gene in your body called NRF2. This gene is essentially the master switch for your body's own internal antioxidant and detoxification systems. When NRF2 is activated, your body starts producing its own protective enzymes, compounds like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, that neutralize free radicals and help break down and eliminate carcinogens before they can damage your DNA. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that sulforaphane could reduce the number of breast cancer stem cells in tumors. Cancer stem cells are particularly dangerous because they're the cells that are resistant to conventional treatment and responsible for cancer coming back after remission. The fact that a compound in broccoli showed activity against these cells is not a small thing. That is a profoundly significant finding. Now here's the practical information you need. Just like garlic, how you prepare broccoli matters enormously. Raw broccoli contains a compound called glucoraphanin and an enzyme called myrosinase. When you chew raw broccoli, those two compounds mix and produce sulforaphane. But when you cook broccoli, especially when you boil it, the heat destroys myrosinase. No enzyme, no sulforaphane conversion. So what do? You have two options. Option one, eat some of your broccoli raw, in salads, with hummus, cut up into smoothies. Option two, if you prefer it cooked, and I completely understand that, try light steaming for no more than 3 to 4 minutes. Light steaming preserves much more of the enzyme activity than boiling. There is also a fascinating hack that researchers have discovered. If you chop your broccoli and let it sit at room temperature for about 40 minutes before cooking it, the myrosinase has time to convert a significant amount of glucoraphanin into sulforaphane first. Then when you cook it, the sulforaphane itself is already formed and is much more heat stable than the enzyme. 40 minutes of resting your chopped broccoli. That simple step could dramatically increase the cancer-fighting power of every serving. Our third vegetable is one that is deeply, deeply underestimated. People either love it or hate it, and the ones who hate it, I genuinely wish I could show them the research, because I believe it would change their mind immediately. I'm talking about beets. Beautiful, dark, earthy beets. And the compound responsible for their deep red and purple color, a pigment called betalain, is the same compound that researchers have found to have remarkable anti-cancer activity. Published studies in the journal Molecules and in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry have demonstrated that betalain compounds, particularly beta-cyanins found in red beets, can induce apoptosis in cancer cell lines, including lung cancer, stomach cancer, colon cancer, and breast cancer cells. But the research on beets goes even deeper than betalain. Beets contain a unique compound called betaine, which plays a role in something called 1-carbon metabolism, a cellular process critical to DNA methylation. DNA methylation is essentially how your genes get turned on and off. Errors in DNA methylation are one of the early steps in cancer development. Betaine helps protect this process, helping to ensure your genetic programming stays intact and cancer-promoting genes stay switched off. Beets are also extraordinarily high in nitrates, not the harmful processed nitrates found in cured meats, but natural dietary nitrates. Your body converts these into nitric oxide, which has powerful anti-inflammatory effects throughout the body. Remember, chronic inflammation is a primary driver of cancer. Anything that reduces systemic inflammation is, in effect, reducing one of the core conditions in which cancer thrives. Beyond cancer, the research on beets for cardiovascular health, liver health, and even cognitive function as we age is equally impressive. I often tell my patients and my community that if I could pick one vegetable to add to a diet that's currently lacking diversity, beets would be very high on that list. For preparation, roasting beets brings out their natural sweetness and retains most of their nutritional value. You can also juice them, blend them into smoothies, eat them raw grated into salads, or even ferment them, which is particularly common in Eastern European traditional medicine, and actually increases certain bioavailable compounds. The key with beets is consistency. The research suggests that regular, ongoing consumption is what produces protective effects, not eating beets once and moving on. Make them a consistent part of your weekly diet. The fourth and final vegetable on our list today is one that I feel is perhaps the most overlooked, the most underappreciated, and in many cases, the one people are most surprised to learn about. I'm talking about spinach. Yes, spinach. The leafy green that Popeye made famous, but not even for the right reasons, because the real power of spinach isn't in its iron content. That was actually a myth based on a misplaced decimal point in a 19th century study. The real power of spinach lies in a group of compounds called glycoglycerolipids, and in its extraordinarily high concentration of specific antioxidants, including chlorophyll, lutein, zeaxanthin, and camphorol. Let me focus on camphorol for a moment because the research on this compound is absolutely worth your attention. Camphorol is a flavonoid, a type of plant-based polyphenol, and it has been studied extensively for its anti-cancer properties. A meta-analysis, which is a study that combines and analyzes data from multiple previous studies, published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that higher dietary intake of camphorol was associated with significantly reduced risk of certain cancers, particularly ovarian cancer and lung cancer. In laboratory studies, camphorol has demonstrated the ability to inhibit cancer cell proliferation, induce apoptosis, and reduce angiogenesis, the same blood vessel formation process in tumors that sulforaphane targets. Multiple pathways, multiple mechanisms of action. But there's something else in spinach that I want to draw your attention to, and it's something that doesn't get nearly enough discussion. Chlorophyll, the same green pigment that allows plants to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis, has been shown in research studies to bind to certain carcinogenic compounds in the digestive tract, essentially trapping them and facilitating their removal from the body before they can cause DNA damage. A study published in the journal Cancer Prevention Research found that chlorophyll and its derivative chlorophyllin could reduce the bioavailability of aflatoxin, one of the most potent known dietary carcinogens in human participants. That is spinach working as a carcinogen-binding agent inside your own body. That is protection happening at the most fundamental level. Spinach also provides significant amounts of folate, which plays a critical role in DNA synthesis and repair. Folate deficiency is associated with increased risk of certain cancers, particularly colorectal cancer, because without adequate folate, the process of building and repairing DNA becomes error-prone. Think of folate as the proofreader of your genetic code. Spinach is one of the most abundant plant-based sources of folate available to us. For preparation, spinach is wonderfully versatile. Raw spinach in salads retains all its heat-sensitive vitamins. Lightly cooked spinach, sautéed in a small amount of olive oil with garlic, which gives you a double dose of anti-cancer protection, actually increases the bioavailability of some of its fat-soluble antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, because those compounds need dietary fat to be properly absorbed. Blended into smoothies with fruits, spinach is essentially tasteless but adds a tremendous nutritional punch. And pairing spinach with a source of vitamin C, like lemon juice squeezed over a spinach salad, significantly enhances the absorption of the non-heme iron it does contain, which is particularly important for anyone who doesn't eat red meat. Now I want to bring this all together for you, because the most important message I want you to leave this video with isn't just a list of 4 vegetables. It's a way of thinking, because here is the truth about anti-cancer nutrition that took me years of studying the research to fully understand. It is not about magic foods. It is not about eating one superfood and considering yourself protected. What the research consistently shows is that the cumulative, synergistic effect of a diet rich in diverse plant foods, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, herbs, spices, creates a biochemical environment in your body that is deeply hostile to cancer development. Cancer thrives in inflammation. Cancer thrives in oxidative stress. Cancer thrives in immune suppression. A plant-rich diet systematically targets all 3 of those conditions simultaneously. Garlic, with its allicin and organosulfur compounds, attacks cancer at the cellular level and supercharges your immune response. Broccoli, with its sulforaphane, activates your body's own master antioxidant system and starves tumors of their blood supply. Beets, with their betalains and betaine, protect your DNA methylation, fight inflammation, and bring a unique set of cancer-fighting pigments that work alongside everything else. And spinach, with its camphorol, chlorophyll, and folate, repairs DNA, traps carcinogens, and inhibits tumor growth through multiple documented pathways. Together, these four vegetables, eaten consistently as part of a varied whole food diet, are building a fortress inside your body. Every single meal is either building that fortress stronger or tearing it down. That is not me being dramatic. That is the science. I also want to address something directly because I know there are people watching this who have been diagnosed with cancer or who have a loved one going through treatment right now. First, I see you. I know how terrifying that is. And if that's you, please hear me say this clearly. Continue working with your oncologist. Continue your treatment plan. These vegetables are not a replacement for medical treatment. What they are is a powerful complement. Many oncologists today actively encourage their patients to adopt an anti-inflammatory, plant-rich diet during and after treatment, because the evidence strongly suggests it improves outcomes, supports immune function, and reduces the systemic inflammation that can make treatment harder on the body. Talk to your doctor about incorporating these foods. Bring the research if you need to. You are your own best advocate. And for those of you watching who have not been diagnosed, who are watching this because you want to protect yourself and the people you love, this is exactly the right conversation to be having. Prevention is always, always more effective and more compassionate than treatment. The best time to start building that fortress is before you ever need it. So here is what I want you to do today. Not tomorrow, today. The next time you go to the grocery store, I want you to put garlic, broccoli, beets, and spinach in your cart. Not as a punishment, not as medicine you choke down, but as food that genuinely loves your body back. Learn to prepare them in ways you enjoy. Experiment with recipes. Make it sustainable, because sustainability is everything. A perfect diet for 1 week is nowhere near as powerful as a consistent, enjoyable, plant-rich diet for a lifetime. If this video was helpful to you, if it gave you something valuable that you didn't have before, please share it. Share it with someone you love. Share it with a friend who's going through a health challenge. Share it with a parent, a sibling, anyone in your life who deserves to know what science is saying about the food on their plate. Like this video so that YouTube knows this kind of evidence-based health content is worth sharing with more people. Subscribe to this channel because I am committed to bringing you the best, most current, most honest nutritional science I can find, presented in a way that is actually usable in your real life. I'm Dr. Raymond Senior Wellness. Take care of your body because it is the only one you have, and I will see you in the next video.